What up, my fellow shadow wizards and Gucci goblins? About a year ago, I made a project called Occult Ballads that was about weird occultic, metaphysical type shit that I've been reading about for quite some time. Well, I wrote a song called Saturn Consume Me that was revolved around the cult of the Black Cube. I worship the cult of the Black Cube. It occurred to me that some of you aren't very well versed on ancient esoteric wisdom, so I thought I'd come down from the monastery and deliver this wisdom. So everyone knows when you're starting off looking for ancient esoteric wisdom, you should start off with astrology.com, because before we can look into the Black Cube, we have to look into Saturn. It says Saturn doesn't make things easy. The rule is the taskmaker of the zodiac. I'm not gonna go any further into that, but I will jump to is the Saturn's return, which is like a phenomenon that after 27 years, Saturn will return to its original spot in your zodiac sign, but around 27 is like where most people supposedly freak out and be like, oh, what am I doing with my life? Or like stuff is set in, and it's like the time of reflection before you hit your 30s. I don't know, I'm 22, I have no idea. But this is just what people tell me. Anyways, now that we have a good understanding of Saturn and how important he is to this story, we can go on to the book Cult of the Black Cube, a Saturnian Grimoire. Grimoire? Grimoire. Grimoire? I've never read this book in full, but I have a legally downloaded copy on my computer that I'm totally gonna read one day. The book was written by a man named Dr. Arthur Moros, but that's not his real name, that's a pseudonym. And so nobody actually knows who it's written by. According to cynical law, it says that Dr. Moros was a scholar of religion and a devotee initiate of Saturn for 30 years. And sadly, he passed away in early 2017 under mysterious circumstances. This book is his esoteric legacy. So much like other esoteric stories that I enjoy, it always has an author who mysteriously dies, similar to John Dee and Friends of Crowley. So basically the book is divided into 3 parts. Part 1 is more of the historical, Islamic, classical, and Indian cults. Part 2, the armory of occultic weaponry to initiate Saturnian contract and to establish a individual cultist of Saturn, directly from the website. And then part 3 is devoted to the practical applications of Saturnian Grimoire and magic. So going back to the interesting part that I said earlier of this author mysteriously dies, in a similar way to John Dee shipping off his hieroglyphic monad by furthering research, author Moros had intended to compose a further chapter of his book detailing the Saturnian vibrations with the cosmic endowment current. Unfortunately, his premature death prevented the writings of this section, so we'll never know the full extent of Saturnian energy. Now, this video isn't to bore you about the esoteric and occultic important essences of Saturn and his energy and then have them do your biddings. This video is about the more funny side, about when you get too deep into the rabbit hole of esoteric ideas, like any sort of occultism, you sort of run into conspiracy theories. For some reason, this sort of like inner religious tradition breeds this sort of behavior of where people just say whatever they want. The original article that I was inspired to run off, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it in any of my search history or anything. But after a quick 3 or 4 pages on Google, I found this one by Nicholasson1968.com. We're already at a good start. You might not know this, but the entire world has been worshipping Saturn for thousands of years. The cult in its right has never stopped and are still present to this day. Saturn, dubbed the Lord of the Rings, is the reason why we exchange rings at weddings or put halos on the heads of godly people. This article exposes the attributes of the god Saturn and the permutation of his cult through in pop culture. Ancient sages as the supreme god and ruler of kings, Kronos, Saturn, Dionys, Atlas, Hercules, Egyptian mythology's eldest daughter and the queen. Nicholasson presents us with this wonderful chart talking about the resurrection, the Roman Empire, and then 9/11, 8 points of time, the Ouroboros, with this very informative graphic. But this is this is the climax of the story. There's like black cubes posted around the world. So here's the United Nations headquartered meditation and prayer room with a black cube in it. Here is the Star of David with a black cube centered on it. Gateway, Dwayne Quantum Computing cube symbols for gateway portals. Hellraiser 3, which features a cube. sort of. They bring up Will.i.am and then Justin Bieber. Cube power worship and digital world creation for deception, cloning,
symbolism, projection of digital world they try to create,
Illuminati and free Masonic symbols, symbolism of the black and white, etc.
Illuminati.
The cube power from above, I guess that's in reference to as above, so below. Here's another video that says unavailable. The black cube of Mecca, better known as the Kaaba, says the black cube of Mecca, they circle around it like the Saturn rings, comparing the Hajj, the fifth pillar of Islam, to Saturnian worship. And then they reference Star Trek The Next Generation, Best of Both Worlds Part 2, where they have a black cube in there. This is one of my favorite graphics for these types of conspiracies. It's just a bunch of them at one time. Semitic civilizations refer to the god of Saturn as El. The supreme deity was represented by a black cube. We can find instances of the black cube across the world. Many esoteric researchers affirm that the name Israel is the combination of the names of ancient pagan deities Isis, Ra, and El. Esoteric researchers.
What the fuck are you talking?
I kind of forgot how bizarre this got, I ain't gonna lie to you. They got a Nike symbol next to the Toyota symbol next to Saturn. The Greeks and the Romans also worship Saturn as a cruel deity. Here's the brief summary of the mythology of Saturn in the Western world. I think that's enough reading for today. The spice on it, because a good conspiracy theory wouldn't be complete without mentioning Satan. So Saturn and Satan. First, many authors argue that the word Satan is derived from the word Saturn. The second, Saturn is associated with the color black, as well as Satan. Ancients considered Saturn to be the furthest planet from the sun, the latter being associated with the principle of good. Note that Pluto was never considered a planet. Saturn is consensually the celestial body that is the least exposed to the sun's divine light and associated with the coldness of the principle of evil. Finally, the great god Pan, a horned deity represented in Saturn in ancient paganism, this half-man, half-goat creature is considered the ancestor of our modern depiction of Satan. You're referring to Baphomet, which was a symbol of Knights Templar and was not originally a symbol of Satan until kind of like evangelical Hollywood took it over. Despite acknowledging its association with evil, secret societies find the veneration of Saturn necessary to attain illumination. It is the necessary counterpart of the principle of good. Masonic authors clearly associate Saturn with Satan. Quote, Saturn is the opposite to Jupiter. His symbolism is the cross above the sign of Luna. He is the Satan, the tempter, or rather the tester. His function is to chastise and tame the unruly passions in the primitive man. Kind of over all this, these quoting and reading. But we have a nice another graphic that says new film produced by Nicholas the Great. Age of the Great Work. It's not a conspiracy if it's the truth. So he's linking us his movie. Maybe I should give a review on. He shows a photo of the top of Saturn with the cube hexagonal feature. It says the great amount of symbolism associated with this obscure deity only emphasizes its importance in human history. The advent of the monotheistic religions of Christianity, Judaism, and Islam confided the worship of Saturn to occult circles. As we saw here, the Lord of the Rings is still omnipresent in popular culture, but only recognized by those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. It says movies containing the black cube, and then it has this Oblivion's a game. I don't understand this part. They're just kind of black. They're not referenced. It's just a black background. Do you see what I see? The X cube. I got some video games teaching your kids about Satan. Behold, ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, the Nissan Cube, taking you straight to hell at 40 miles per gallon. I give you Nicki Minaj standing in front of a glowing cube.
Satan.
Oh man, it's always like 9/11 and Islam. Got Apple. But it wouldn't be good if we didn't read the comments. A lot of these comments are just people saying they've also discovered black cubes. But there's also ones that are just like unrealized shitposts, such as this one. Dude, the numbers backwards on the Iron Man clock are 042 or 240, which is number 240 is a combination of the attributes and the influences of number 2, 4, and 0. Number 2 represents balance and harmony, devoted faith, devotion, insight, cooperation, adaptability, and diplomacy. Number 2 also resonates with the faith entrusted your divine life purpose and soul mission. Number 4 resonates with diligence and determination to achieve goals, practicality, and application, hard work and responsibility, traditional values, honesty, integrity, and inner wisdom. Number 4 also relates to our drive, passions, and life purposes. Number 0 carries the influences of the God force, the universal energies, and amplifies and magnifies the energies and vibrations of the numbers it appears with. Number 0 is a message to do with developing one's spiritual aspect, and it's considered to represent the beginning of a spiritual journey and highlights the uncertainties that may entail. It suggests that you listen, it's your intuition and higher self, and this is where you will find your answers.
240.
Iron Man clock. That's about it. I think all this shit's weird and kind of cool at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.